Hello, my name is Dr. J, and I am a licensed professional counselor, university professor, author, and an advocate for mental health wellness. I would like to welcome you to my new show, Ask Dr. Joanne. This show is about self care and counseling as it pertains to events occurring in our everyday lives. The purpose of this show is to educate and empower you, our viewers. In celebration of National Women's Month, my team and I wanted to address the topic of work life balance. As an educator and mental health provider, I am an advocate for mental health. Please remember that it is important to seek professional assistance if you or anyone you know is in need of help. On today's show, we are going to be discussing the topic of work life balance with some dynamic, hardworking professional women and entrepreneurs. Before we begin and jump into our discussion, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. You can find me on YouTube at Ask Dr. Joanne. That's ASK, one word, and Dr. Joanne, another word. Now, let's talk. I would first like to take a few minutes to introduce my guest speakers who have graciously joined me on my show today. First up, we have Reverend J. Peabody Smith. She's a wife, a mother, an executive pastor at a church in Georgia, and a licensed professional counselor in private practice. Then we have Dr. Charlene Allen Milton. She assists professional mothers and caregivers who are struggling to establish work life balance. Dr. Allen is a native of Bronx, New York. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in social work from Morgan State University, a master's degree in clinical social work from Smith College, and a doctorate of education degree in human and organizational learning from George Washington University. Dr. Allen is also a published author. We'll get a chance to see her shortly. Next, we have Shalon Torres Durfee. Her passion for cooking and baking began when she was a young girl. As a child, she watched in awe as her mother, grandmother, and aunties worked their magic in the kitchen. She discovered her love for cake decorating in 2000 following the birth of her son. Shortly thereafter, Shalon began making birthday cakes for family members and friends. In time, she garnered more satisfied customers along with more orders. Shalon worked as a baker under the Heavenly Hostess business for 3 years. However, she later returned to her previous career and darn near vowed to never pick up a spatula again. That is until 2010 when Shalon decided to open up her own business, Milan's Edible Art, and the rest is history. Next, we have Princess Diana. Princess Diana was born and raised in the DMV area. That is DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's the other DMV. She is a single mom, a fictional author, and a screenplay writer. She is a poet and one of the executive producers of the Ask Dr. Joanne show. Princess Diana is also an entrepreneur and the CEO of a medical billing firm called Bill with Ease. And lastly, but not least, is evangelist Latasha Wesley. She is a native of Washington, D.C., and the founder of Victory in the Vision, a social media ministry focused on empowerment and spiritual growth. Evangelist Wesley self-published several books, including her latest book entitled Walking Like His Daughter, a 12-week devotional journey. Latasha recently earned a certificate of completion in advanced Christian studies from Wesley Theological Seminary in Washington, D.C., where she desires to increase her ministry studies in the future. Her next published work, coming out in May 2021, is titled She is Strong, Chronicles of a Praying Woman. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would love and like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me today. I believe that it is extremely important that we as women educate other women and inspire them to pursue careers that they are passionate about. There are many challenges and stereotypes that may sometimes impede on our ability to obtain success in a career that we truly love. But I truly believe that each and every one of you has the ability to inspire our viewers. Thus, we handpicked you all to be on the show today. So once again, thank you very much for your time and participation in today's show. I would like to start off by reviewing the question that we previously asked our viewers on social media, which is, how will you rate your work-life balance? The options were A, what? Balance? Are you kidding me? B, I squeeze time for me here and there. Or C, I schedule time for me weekly. If I don't take care of myself, no one else will. Now, can each of you please share with our viewers which answer best aligns with your current work-life balance? If you are able to maintain an effective work balance, can you also explain to us how are you able to do so? So we're going to begin with Reverend J. Let's begin.
All right, beloved. Well, as you shared, I am a counselor. I have my own practice. I'm an executive pastor. I'm a mom. I do all of these wonderful things. And people always say, how do you do it? How do you have time? And I've learned the hard way a while ago to make time for me. So my answer would be C, right? I have a day set aside where I don't do anything unless I want to do it. That might be my day to like veg out and catch up on Netflix, or I may go to the spa, I may go for a hike, whatever's going to make my soul smile on that day. And I've been that way for a really long time. When I was in seminary, the first time, I'm finishing up my doctorate now, but the first time I almost got really burnt out. And I just learned that there's something about rest, like we can't pour out more than we get poured into. And at the time, my children were young, so they got really used to the idea that that's going to be mommy's time. Mm-hmm. And then in addition to once a week, twice a year, I go away by myself, no husband, no kids. And I just read or pray or cry or whatever I need to do. And it's been so cute because my youngest daughter has said during COVID, I guess there might have been a day that I got like a little irritated. And she was like, it might be time for one of your mommy trips. So they even understand, the importance of self-care. I'm really blessed that all of the different things I do, I like to do. I don't do anything that makes me unhappy. So none of it is unhappy stress. Lastly, for one Lent season, some years ago, I gave up everything on my schedule that for the entire season of Lent. So there were no PTA meetings, nothing, except for my job at the time. And after Lent was over, I looked back and I said, okay, what is it that I really missed? And if I didn't miss it, I didn't go back to it. Because if it wasn't making me happy, then it's not giving God glory. When it says that God wants a cheerful giver, that also includes our gifts, the way that we serve. And if serving is causing me resentment, then it's not something that I did. So learn the hard way. Got to take care of yourself, and everybody else will be okay. And it's a great way to teach people how to treat you. So if I'm not making myself a priority, I can't get upset when my husband or my children or my friends don't either. So that's kind of my answer.
Excellent. I love it. And I'm going to circle back to some of that too. And in the meantime, Ms. Torres Durfee, can you please share with us your answer and why you picked that?
I am definitely A. I am taking a lot of nuggets from Reverend J, however, because I have absolutely no work-life balance. Just to piggyback a little bit on what she said, what I do, I have a passion for. So it tends to be something that I don't consider work, which can be a problem because I don't know how to shut that off. It's a constant machine that's running. Like, how can I do better? How can I serve better? How can I take my business to the next level? And again, being a mom and a wife, you're pulled in different directions. So I feel like this was very timely for me because I am at the point where I know I have to figure that out, what that looks like for me. So I'm really excited to hear everyone else's take on what they do or maybe what they don't do to learn, because it's definitely something I struggle with on a daily basis. So I appreciate, listening to everyone, and I'm excited to hear what everyone else has to say.
Excellent. Thank you. And Evangelist Latasha, what can you share with us?
Well, I would definitely have to say that I fall in the category of C, scheduling time for myself weekly, and really scheduling my time, every day is truly a priority for me as a busy, wife and mom. And also, being busy, as an entrepreneur and serving my church in a large capacity. As a younger person in the church body, they are often pulling on me, with different projects that I'm able to help them with. So I'm constantly having to really prioritize my time so I don't get burnt out. So that, pretty much involves me, prioritizing, what I do first thing in the morning, having that time of solace time to pray and to just kind of organize myself, but to also just regulate my mind and my thinking for the day. How we start our day out is really important as to how we complete everything in our day. And if, I ever find myself rushed and not having that time to pray and to focus, then I feel like my whole day has completely gone from where, I planned it or intended it for it to be. So prayer and reflection are really important for me for balancing everything that I have to do.
Excellent. Thank you. And lastly, Princess Diana, can you please share your response with our viewers?
So my response to the question was definitely A. I am now in a place where I am actually doing things that I love. So I agree with Lonnie. Just being able to do the things that you love, and you don't really know how to separate where the work ends and where the the time for yourself really needs to start, or at least that's a struggle for me. I really do enjoy it. So sometimes I will have an idea in the middle of the night and I will find myself researching how to do this better, how to polish that. Oh, did I post today? Did I record a reel today? So I'm definitely someone who struggles with figuring out how to have that balance. Dr. J has actually started to make me do things like, and when I say make, I mean, we exercised recently together. We went on a walk and we just talked, and we didn't really talk a lot about business. We didn't really talk about a lot of anything. It was just two good friends going out for some fresh air. And that was very helpful to me, but that's something that I don't do very often. So I'm definitely learning that it is now time for me to start incorporating some of that balance back into my life, but definitely I would answer A.
Excellent, excellent. And I'll also answer that question for myself too. For me, it was C, similar to Evangelist Latasha. And C was I try to make time for me, because if I don't take care of me, who's going to take care of me? And so one of the things that I've been doing lately in practice, actually, and in person, and that's what Princess Diana was referring to, is something that we call walk and talk therapy. So that's one way that I balance life, right? So what it is you're kind of like walking with someone. So for me, I've done it in two different ways. Walking really with a client, and we are actually walking and talking through her concerns. But there's three things that we're doing. One, we're doing talk therapy, right? Really working. Two, we are feeding our spirituality because we're out in nature. So we're looking at the trees, we're listening to the birds, the bees, we're watching the clouds. So all of that is one way of feeding your spirituality. And then three, we are exercising. We're getting physical activity in. So that's a lot of connection between the brain and the body and movement and spirituality. And then, of course, we did that together. And so those are some ways that I balance my work life persona. Another thing I do too is I have one schedule. So I've been using a schedule since I was about 13 or 14, really. But my one schedule, everything is on it. So that's work, that's play, that's things like this. But I also color code it. And for me, yellow means playtime. Yep, a yellow, just like what you're wearing over there, Princess Diana. It means that it's no activity that has to do with a lot of brain work. No kids, no nothing. This is all about me. So when I look at my schedule, if I don't see enough yellow, then I can tell that, okay, you know what? I need to do something fun and light in there for me. And so that's how I, balance the work life. Now, I would also say it goes in waves because I'm not always that perfect, if you want to say, especially when we first had this crisis with COVID. There was no balance for me at first. It was crisis, everything. And I'm sure you all can relate because everything had to shift. The way you parent, how you take care of yourself, the things you do, it just, shift into crisis mode. So that would be an example of when things are not 100%, how I would have wanted it at that time. And so that's my answer. And then I guess we'll circle back, when we need to. Okay, so, something else. So as a clinician, I have spoken with many individuals about burnout. Sometimes individuals struggle with prioritizing their own personal needs over those of others. The following are some tips that I have found to be helpful during my many years in practice. And those are some of the self-care tips like walking. Another good thing that I do is I call it tech down. And what I do is take off all technology, including the cell phone. And lately I try to do that at least 1 hour a day, at least. Sometimes it goes on to 3 hours. And in that time, I'm doing stuff for me. And obviously I might be reading, I might be taking a nap, I might be cooking, cleaning, but there is no cell phone, no computer, no television. Princess Diana, how do you practice self-care?
So recently I started to really get into this going outside and walking. I actually posted on my Facebook channel or my Facebook page where I had walked a lake that I had not walked in about 22 years. And it was a lake that I would go to quite often in high school. And my senior, I guess what it was, the senior picnic was there. And it is this huge lake. I believe the lake might be like a half a mile going around just one side of it. And so I actually traveled the entire lake, and I felt so empowered because I do struggle with my weight. I struggle with my asthma. And so for me, I got halfway around the lake to the center point, and I was like, I can't do it. I had my son with me, and he was like, well, Mom, let's turn back. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to turn back. I said, and I found myself in that moment actually taking a deep breath and praying. So we're leaning up against a tree. I'm trying to catch my breath. I take some of my inhaler, and I'm like, God, I believe that you will get me through anything. And even if this walk is, something as simple as a walk, because that is something that I struggle with. Normally I can't go a whole mile without, needing some kind of aid or whatever, as far as my inhaler. And so this was really a big deal for me. And we got all the way around the lake. And when we got almost to the very starting point, we saw this beautiful tree. And I don't know why, but there is something about those trees that you can actually see the roots growing, like in the side of maybe, the side of earth or what have you. And there's through this trail through the area, there's actually a area where the trees have been formed to this larger area. And so it's like almost like an incline, but you can actually see the roots of the tree growing alongside a wall. And for me, it was just so calming and so peaceful. There were trees, blowing in the wind. There were birds chirping, people were out with their dogs. And so it was a really enlightening experience for me. But when I finally came back around and I made that post, there were people that I went to high school with that was like, oh my gosh, girl, I ain't been down there forever. And it actually kind of like motivated people to, go back to that stopping ground for us, because a lot of us, we would walk around and like it was nothing. So that's what I've done recently.
Excellent. That is so inspiring, and thanks for being transparent with that example of what, self-care looks like for you. Self-care is extremely important. It keeps you grounded and allows you to take time out of your day to focus on your own needs. I highly suggest that everyone practices some aspect of self-care on a daily basis. Whether it's setting aside 15 to 30 minutes to meditate or pray or spend some time with your loved ones. I myself, again, practice self-care on a daily basis. And, some of the ways that I practice self-care, believe it or not, is waking up at a certain time, right? Whether it's alarm or not, but waking up, taking a bath, good hygiene, praying in the morning, listening to motivational music. As a matter of fact, lately, I just got Alexa. So every minute I'm like, Alexa, do this. Alexa, do that. Lately, I'm like, Alexa, play. No, not right now, Alexa. Oh my gosh, she just heard me. She started talking. Alexa, be quiet. Okay. And lately I've been saying to play birds chirping, because I love the sound of birds. Growing up, we always had birds in the house, and we do sometimes. And it will chirp, and it's just so relaxing. So just little things like that is practicing self-care, aromatherapy. I like lighting candles and just taking in different scents. And those are some of the examples that I have. Miss Tori, let's talk about multitasking.
Multitasking.
Yes.
I do that a lot. Okay, so multitasking for me, one of the things that helps me is my planner. It helps me to kind of look forward, look ahead. I use, sticky notes on my phone. I use sticky notes on my computer so that it's always before me. And I will say that Google Calendar is my bestest friend ever, because I will not remember every single thing. So I will put in my Google Calendar events, tasks, reminders, and then I'm setting notifications 2 hours before, an hour before, 30 minutes before. So it's top of mind for me, because when you are busy and you're doing several things at one time, it's very easy to miss things. It could be, anything from a doctor's appointment to a phone call to a follow-up to an email, take out, the chicken for dinner. So I find that those are go-tos for me, especially I would say my phone, because we have that all the time. So it's something that is easy accessible, and it's going to, again, remind me, go off, hey, the timer, snooze it, you didn't do ABC, and then I can check that off and keep moving. But for me, the planner, I'm able to look, when I'm still, and see, okay, especially with, cakes and clients, like, all right, am I doing too much for one particular day? How many orders do I have for this particular day? And I'm looking and say, oh my gosh, you really need to pull back, because you already have 4 or 5 orders and there's no way you can take more. So I find that, again, Google Calendar, my best friend, the planner, and the notes, the sticky notes in my phone, and even on my computer, it helps to keep things in front of me and top of mind.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks for sharing. And that is so realistic. You
Yeah.
know, multitasking can be quite difficult at times, and you have to remember to only do what makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, we should never place too much pressure on ourselves. And so there are different ways to efficiently, multitask. So just like you said, using planners, sticky notes, a things to do list. You know, sometimes I have different things to do lists. So one things to do list might be related to house products, housework. Another one might be related to work, and something else might be related to something else. So those are the things that help me kind of multitask. Now, as you all can see, we are talking about different things that help all these women entrepreneur like manage their business and their life, right? All of these are just different aspects. So another aspect that can, get us down sometime is negativity. One of you all share with us, how do you deal with negativity?
Well, I can say for me, like dealing with negativity, I love to just like remove myself like from that. You have to figure out how you want to process it, how you want to, answer, or maybe not even answer at all. Everything does not deserve an answer. So sometimes just to protect your peace, that's what you need to do, is to just say, you know what, it's not even worth me, spending my energy on. So that's one thing that I, truly take into account, when it comes to negativity.
Excellent. I love it. And for me, I always say no matter what you do, who you are, what you wear, there's always going to be one or two player haters. And if you have player haters, see, that's negativity I'm referring to. Your player haters can make you stronger, better, because you got to learn. That teaches you that you cannot please everybody. So that means that, let's say, I'm giving a workshop, right? And I'm doing my thing. I read everything. I did my research. I'm prepared. I'm speaking well. My outfit is good. I can guarantee you there's somebody in the crowd that's going to be like, she all right. But her shoes ain't match her nail polish. Whose shoes match her nail polish? So my point is that people will find something, right? But that whatever it is that you find, when you find out, because see, sometimes you don't even know, right? When you find out that you use that as your strength and energy to keep it moving, right? Keep reaching for the stars. That's how I see that.
Yes. Can't hear you.
Okay, y'all didn't hear me. I said another piece. How has the pandemic impact your ability for self-care? Now you're on mute.
All right.
We playing the
Now,
mute game.
now we're both unmuted.
Right.
Yes. Regarding like the pandemic and how it affects me in balancing, stressors and things like that, is that I really had to do a reassessment of everything. Because we all had, our way of living, like we were just doing, everything according to the way that we were used to doing it. So I had to kind of like take a couple steps back and say, okay, I'm going to need to modify how I find, my peace or my relaxation or a way to relieve stress for me, as far as self-care. So I had to like really like modify and say, okay, you know what, I'm not going to have that lovely chunk of time when the kids go to school to take care of me. I'm going to have to schedule that in around them now, since they're at home. So just modifying my schedule and also learning how to think outside of the box as well. Finding, different strategies, different ways where I can, have the kids doing something where I can focus on me, and be able to accomplish, different tasks and things like that. But, taking care of myself, scheduling that time during the day. Just like I mentioned, schedules are really important to me. And like, I literally write down on a piece of paper first thing in the morning from the time of 8 a.m. is the start of my schedule to 10 p.m. So I pencil in everything and I block out 2 hours of time all day long throughout the day just for me. So that really helps, keep me, grounded and just focused on the things that I need to do, physically and spiritually, and also, on a business standpoint as well. So just modifying my time and learning, and just taking, into account things, that I like to do, like, reading, resting, and reflecting. Reading is a big thing for me, and, resting, getting my sleep. My husband often laughs about how many times I say I need to take a nap. I'm like, yeah, I take more naps than the kids do. And you know what? I'm not mad about that. You're not gonna, make me feel guilty about that. So, so rest is surely important to me, and just having that time to reflect. So.
Definitely, definitely. One thing I'm hearing from all of you all is using this calendar, a schedule, something to help you organize being an entrepreneur, a mother, a wife, and, or a reverend, an evangelist, an author, like all of the baker, all of that sounds like it helps. So tell me, can each of you please share your final thoughts with our viewers? Like, what do you want them to walk away with as it relates to work-life balance, entrepreneurship, womanship? We're celebrating women this month. Share your final thoughts with us.
I guess I can start. In terms of honoring yourself and having work-life balance, I think one of the most important things that we could do is simply learn how to say no. So I always ask myself, when I'm asked to do something, I ask myself, if I do this, am I going to feel resentful or angry or bothered? And if my reply to myself is yes, I will, then my response is no. And I've just learned some really cool ways to say no, right? You can't say no because of A, B, and C, because then the person will just debate it with you, and then you'll give up and be like, fine, I'll do it, right? So I'll say something like, that sounds really amazing, but no. Or, I'm so glad you thought about me, but no. Or, you know what? I can't do that, but let me tell you what I can do. And then I just pick what I feel like I can do without feeling some kind of way. Or, like I tell my clients, blame it on me. You could just say, you know what? I promise my therapist, my minister, my kids, my husband, my partner, whoever, that I'm not going to take on anything new right now. But, every time we say no to someone else, we're saying yes to ourselves. And it feels amazing. And people don't get all upset and angry like we might fear. They'll be okay. And honestly, if they get upset because we put up a boundary, then that might be a relationship that we need to question anyway.
I like that. Anytime we're saying no to someone else, we are saying yes to ourselves. Love it. Who else can share last thought for our viewers? What's on your mind?
I think I would say the last thought would be to love yourself first. Because if we don't put that time in to love ourselves, we're not as lovable. And it's hard for us to love everyone else. And that's something that I'm finding for myself. I mean, my daughter's very close to me. She's very in tune. So she'll come to me and say, Mommy, I think you're doing too much. I think you need to go get your nails done, or I think and she's 9. So for her to see that shows me, that she's watching. And if I don't love me, then I can't really properly love her in the way she needs to be loved, in terms of I don't have the energy, I don't have the joy because I'm overwhelmed or I'm anxious. So I would say to love yourself first. And I think as moms and wives and entrepreneurs, sometimes it's hard to do that. I don't know if anyone else struggles with that, but sometimes I struggle with mom guilt. Taking time for me, but I could be doing A, or I could be doing B, or I could be doing C. But loving yourself to the point that you put yourself first is not a bad thing, and that's something that I'm learning every day. So I would say, love yourself.
Love yourself first. That's what I'm hearing. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Princess Deanna or Evangelist, y'all have any last thoughts you wanted to share, or you think you said what you needed to?
Sure. I can add to that. That, we really have one life to live when we, really consider ourselves. And we need to be mindful of caring for ourselves, not just for right now, but for the longevity of ourselves. Because burnout is so real. And, we have more women suffering from heart disease and hypertension and all of these different, health issues, really because of the weight of stress or the burdens that they continue to carry. And, one thing for me that I've learned a long time ago is that, what, everything is not meant for me to carry. That I need to release those things to God, that, I need to say, what, it's too heavy for me to bear. It's not for me. I need to let that thing go. So, so again, prioritizing my life, to Christ first, and everything that I do sets me up for success. So love yourself, but love God, have faith, pray, and and just take care of yourself, take care of your spirit and your physical self as well.
Excellent. So one thing I heard a lot, but one of the thing is that everything is not meant for you to carry
Yes.
alone, right? Bring God in your life and let that burden go. Excellent. Good. And lastly, but not least.
So I would have to say that you would keep scheduling time for yourself. I know that that's something that I'm just now learning to do, but it has really been a huge help. So whether it is me scheduling time for myself just to take an extra long shower so I can sing as loud as I want to in the shower, or if it's scheduling time to take a walk, or if it is just scheduling time for me to just get into my prayer closet and pray and ask God to give me insight so that I am a better mom, a better entrepreneur, a better business owner. But definitely scheduling time for myself and being okay with it, because before I used to feel guilty about scheduling time for me. So that would be my last thought.
Definitely. Well, summing up what I think I'm hearing all of you saying is that we put out energy all the time. The energy can be with your work, your business, your family, your friends. You put out energy. And when we put out that energy, you have to replenish that energy. And we can replenish it by praying, meditating, walking, exercising, singing, listening to music, baking, writing, preaching. We have to fill that back up so that we can continue putting that energy out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is exactly, if I was to sum up what I think I'm hearing, that's what I would say. And so, lastly, once again, I would like to thank each of these dynamic ladies for joining me today. I would also like to thank you, our viewers, as well. So if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, and share. Once again, you can find me on YouTube at Ask, A-S-K, Dr. D-R-J-O-A-N-N-E, Ask Dr. Joanne. You can also follow me on Instagram at JFL Counseling or Facebook at JFL Counseling. Until we meet again, bye bye, baby.